All right, here we go. This episode of Switchcraft is brought to you by patrons like Tom. Support Switchcraft and my other content for as little as $1 at patreon.com/runjumpstomp. Call that patron. And we will save, file, save project as. Oh, wait. I need to jump into the voice channel. There, that way if somebody wants to call in, they can. File, save. No. Save project as. And we'll call this episodes raw, so that would be SC127. I'm out of practice. I haven't done this in a week. Hey, Doyle's Bane. Episode 127 of Switchcraft is also brought to you by OP Seats. Head on over to opseat.com and use the coupon code RUNJUMPSIT for $10 off of your gaming chair. These chairs are very, very comfortable with excellent lumbar support. You will not regret buying a chair from OP Seat. I'm sitting in one right now. Again, that's opseat.com, and for $10 off your chair, use the coupon code RUNJUMPSIT. Sponsor. There we go. File save. Okay. There's no way Tom Nook would give anyone else money. What? Tom Nook? What are you talking about? Oh, Tom. Yeah. I got you now. Okay, here we go. Switchcraft is recorded live 3 times a week, 3 p.m. U.S. Eastern on Tuesday, Thursday, and on Saturday at whatever time the universe allows. Tune in live at twitch.tv/runjumpstomp, just like the following awesome people did. We've got Kodiak Moonwolf is here. Vaxer is here. Awate86, Aerslia, Hatred Shaped Like a Man, Kimbalina66, Link31254, Lumberjoke2, Marquito, Resd TV, Who Be This Might, and some lurkers as well. Thank you guys so much for showing up. Oh, I can see Doyle's Bane is also here. Hello, Doyle's Bane. Thank you all for showing up to hang out with me on this first episode of 2018. I appreciate it. We've got a review from Razor Wire Shrine, which is a hard name to say. He gave 5 stars on Apple Podcast. He said, "This guy is good and craftily spoken." He did that in quotes because of because of Switchcraft. His episodes are bite-sized and full of flavor. Truly a delight to listen to. Well, your review was truly a delight to read. So thank you very much. I appreciate it. We've got email. If you want to email us, you can do so at emailing runjumpstomp@gmail.com. Let's take a look at this email that we got over break. And okay. And I forgot to copy it in. So let me find that real quick. Come on now. Here, unpausing now. Oh no, Aerslia. Sorry. So we received an email from Kid Curdy. They said, "Hey RJS, it's Kid Curdy. Remember how I had to send you my iTunes reviewed via Discord because you thought you missed it? Well, I think I figured it out. I'm Canadian, and since I have Canada as my region in iTunes, I believe you can only see American reviews. I also saw another one that you didn't read. Here's a screenshot if you'd like. I can LYK. Oh, I can look if I see a new review. Keep up the podcast. One of my favorite parts of the week, Kid Curdy." And it looks like they forgot to actually attach the image of the screenshot, but I appreciate the thought. And that never occurred to me that people were reviewing the show in other locations and I wasn't able to see those. So I'm going to see if I can figure out a way that I can look at them without changing my iTunes account. If anybody knows how to do that, let me know. But thank you for emailing me and letting me know about that. I appreciate it. If you're looking for other ways to get a hold of me, you can tweet at me at RunJumpStomp. You can call and leave a voicemail at 260-RUN-JUMP. That's 260-786-5867. And of course, join our Discord at runjumpstomp.com/Discord and have fantastic conversations with awesome people. Res TV just sent me a message on in the live channel. He says mypodcastreviews.com. Okay, I will check that out, Res. Thank you very much. You're awesome for being on the ball with that kind of stuff. All right. It has been a long time since the last episode. This is the first episode of the new year. So the last time that I actually talked about Nintendo news was like a week ago, more than a week ago. And because of that, there's a lot of stuff that we probably missed. I'm not going to go over everything because that would make the show way too long. I'm just going to pick out the stories that I felt like were the most important. So let's go ahead and talk about those stories. Name that feedback. You got me. That's right, man. File, save project. All right. Time for news. Dang it, dang it, dang it. The link that I have for this is a Wall Street Journal article. Because I read the article, and then I was like, okay, I'll add that in later. And then I never read the next article. But that's okay. The headline will do. Let's get started. I know, I don't have a subscription to Wall Street Journal. They have a hard paywall. Nintendo is delaying 64 gigabyte cards. And when I talk about cards, I'm talking about the cartridges that you get your game on if you buy a physical version. And they're going to be delaying them until 2018 due to technical reasons, is what they've said. This is via a Wall Street Journal article. There were also other articles parroting the same thing. Those are the ones that I read, but I think it started with a Wall Street Journal article. But Nintendo is delaying these cards for publishers. And a lot of people are upset about this, but I really don't think there's any reason for people to really care about this. And this is why. Right now, we have 32 gigabyte cards available. And instead of using those, a lot of devs are going with smaller and cheaper cards in order to save money so that they can maximize their profits. They're a business. That is their job. I find no fault with them. Would it be better for the consumer if they bought the bigger cards and put the whole game on there? Yes. But a lot of developers are not doing that. So we get games where you buy a game in the store, you bring it home, and then you have to download this huge patch, which takes up a lot of room on your SD card, or if you have an SD card, which if you're playing on a Nintendo Switch, you really should have an SD card. So While I think it would be better if Nintendo had these 64 gigabyte cards available for publishers that wanted them, what I really think would happen is most publishers wouldn't bother. They'd still go with the cheaper cards because that maximizes their profits, and they know that people are going to just buy it anyway. Uh, and that's on us as consumers. We should vote with our wallet when we don't like something. But I think a lot of times people they take the good and they take the bad, and you take them both, and there you have the facts of life. I'm sorry, I couldn't help myself. You take the good parts and you take the bad parts, and you look at them and you're like, well, which ones are more important to me? And playing a good game for most people is more important than saying I'm not going to play it because I don't like their business practices here. So I think that while I'm not happy that we're getting a delay, I'm not surprised. And I'm sure Nintendo will bring out the 64 gigabyte cards, but in the long run, I don't think it'll make much of a difference. Now, the one thing that I will point out that I think is very important is that Nintendo has very small file sizes. When you look at first party Nintendo games, their file sizes are very, very small compared to other stuff. So games like Breath of the Wild have a very small footprint digitally than, say, WWE 2K17. I think that's the name of the game. Or we'll say Doom. Doom had this massive download for the multiplayer, whereas Super Mario Odyssey was quite a svelte by comparison download. So I think that what Nintendo really should be doing is teaching these third-party companies how to best optimize, because Nintendo clearly has some kind of magic that they're pulling off in order to make these games so small. And Nintendo needs to work with devs to shrink their games and optimize them for the Nintendo Switch and for a small footprint. When you are a developer who is coming from PS4 and Xbox One, those platforms have Blu-rays, which hold 50 gigabytes apiece, I think. I could be wrong. I'm just doing that off the top of my head. They hold 50 gigabytes apiece. And the idea that they then have to take that 50 gigabytes and find a way to compress it into some smaller form factor, that's tough. And I think a lot of developers are saying, well, you know what, we'll just have them download that stuff, and then we don't have to worry about it, and we don't have to spend the money on the conversion, and we don't have to pay to I guess I already kind of covered that. Anyway, that's my thoughts on this subject. I'm very curious as to what you guys think. Do you think it's acceptable for studios to use a smaller card or a smaller cartridge than they need to fit the game? Or do you think Nintendo should require third-party devs to buy a bigger cartridge for their game, because then it's a better consumer experience? Keep in mind, if they do that, then the price of the games might go up. It's a very interesting conundrum that we would have to deal with if Nintendo required that. And I'm curious as to what you guys think. Email me, runjumpstomp@gmail.com. um, I understand that, Rez, but Nintendo stuff still looks fantastic. That's the thing. Nintendo finds a way to make things look great, even though they're not doing super high-res textures and stuff like that. And I know it comes down to art style, but I think what is Mario Odyssey like? Isn't it like 6 gigs or something stupid small like that? It's really small. And yeah, Joel is right. It is a first world problem. I'm just curious as to what people think. File, save. Well, it is the smallest sized media, but at the same time, the developers could opt for bigger media. All right. So, for those of you that don't know, back in September, we found out that Nintendo had kind of hidden a version of Golf, the original black box NES game, programmed by none other than not Shigeru Miyamoto. Oh my God, my brain. Satoru Iwata, programmed by Satoru Iwata, and in order to open up that game, you had to open up the Switch on an unpatched Switch on a certain day, which I can't remember the day. It was July 11th. That was the day that he passed away. And you had to do the motion that he would do for the Nintendo Direct. He would always say directly to you and kind of hold his hands out like that. So if you took the Joy-Cons in your hand on July 11th and and I can't do it because the microphone's in front of me, but did the motion of the Nintendo Direct motion that Satoru Iwata often did, then it would unlock this golf game, and it was called Flog, which is golf spelled backwards. And yeah, that's a really cool thing for them to do. But it looks like Nintendo has now removed the game from the Switch's hardware. So recently, a group of hackers did another check, and it looks like the emulation was wiped from the 4.0.0 patch. And so it's now gone. Now, why is it gone? We don't know. Maybe this is because we're going to be able to buy it via Virtual Console. Maybe we'll get it with our subscription to the online service that we're waiting for them to announce this year. We're really not sure why the reason is, but it's gone, and that's too bad because I thought it was a really cool tribute to Mr. Iwata. And for those of you who are new to Nintendo, if you might not know who Mr. Iwata was, he was the president of Nintendo during the I believe at the end of the GameCube era through the Wii and then the Wii U. And he was a guy that worked at HAL Laboratories, and he had his hands in so many games, and he was a game developer, and he was big in the instrument or in getting things done like Earthbound. He was huge in the development of Super Smash Brothers, and he has his name on a whole lot of games. So he's definitely somebody who I think a lot of gamers looked up to, and it was a really nice tribute of Nintendo or by Nintendo to include this. And it just feels, kind of sad that they took that away. And honestly, I don't think that there's a lot of people out there who would run out and buy the golf game on the Nintendo. There's a lot better golf games that you could get. So I almost feel like it would have been a good idea to just leave it there, or maybe just turn it into a pack-in. Like, hey, everybody who bought a Switch in the first year, here you go. Here's golf. I think that would have been really cool of them. Of course, anybody who didn't get a Switch in the first year would have been upset about that. But anyway, we miss you, Mr. Iwata. File save, and I forgot to name that last one. That last one was card size. And then this one was golf. Save. We'll close that. Oh man, I got a screaming headache. And as soon as I finish this, I don't even get to edit right away. I have to go out and try and fix my snowblower because you would not believe what it's like outside right now. It's insane out there. Name it Flog? Nah, name it Golf. Name it Golf. Name it Iwata's Golf. Yeah, that's exactly the same thing that I was thinking. Doyle's Bane. That's exactly what I was thinking. All right. Kimishima. I'm looking for the exact quote. You know what? I'm not going to read the whole thing, because I don't want to steal the article. So I'm just going to summarize a little bit of it. I don't think that it hurts anybody. I mean, there were very few people who even had an access to it because you had to have not updated your Switch at all. And a lot of people, myself included, as soon as I got my Switch, that's the first thing that I did is I updated it as soon as I turned it on. Back on March 3rd, I got it. I plugged it in. I was live streaming the whole thing. I turned it on and I updated it. And then I played Zelda. So most people didn't have access to it. So taking it away really isn't that big of a deal. But I wish that they just give it to people as a remembrance. Just call it Iwata's Golf, and it would be awesome. Well, back on December 28th, Tatsumi Kimishima, I forgot his first name, and it's not written here. Oh, it is written there. Let me start over. Back on December 28th, Nintendo president Tatsumi Kimishima, he was interviewed by a Japanese publication, and NintendoEverything.com has translated his interview. Now, I'm not going to go through the whole thing because I don't want to take their content and make it my own, but there is one thing that I definitely want to talk about, and that is that he said that we should expect to see more Switch games using HD Rumble and the Joy-Con camera next year. So he said, start thinking about, and they also started thinking about their next console. Well, let me tackle that last part first. It's not a big surprise that Nintendo has already started development on their next console. That's exactly what console makers do. That's not news. All right. The news here is that they are using, or they're planning on using the Joy-Con camera and HD Rumble. Now, HD Rumble, you can make a game use that with very little impact on the overall style of gameplay, whereas the Joy-Con camera is completely different. Now, for those of you who have forgotten, if you take your right hand Joy-Con and you look at the bottom of it, it has a little camera there. And when they did their announcement back in January of last year, they talked about how it could be used to sense shapes. I think Mr. Koizumi, who is in charge of the Mario franchise, he was using it and showing that you could detect a circle and compare that to a triangle and things like that. So when we hear of things like this, that they're going to be focusing on that, that makes me nervous. This is something that they've done very little of. I think the only game that really uses it is 1-2 Switch, in that weird sandwich eating game where you hold the Joy-Con up to your mouth and then open and close your mouth really quickly to try and eat the sandwiches faster. Those are not the kind of games that I feel that most people who bought the Switch are interested in. I feel like most people who bought the Switch are interested in the games that we have been playing up until now. And the idea that Nintendo wants to shift a focus and bring out more games that use the Joy-Con camera, while that makes me a little nervous, it's also not that big a deal. And I'm kind of playing devil's advocate here, because if they're going to be using the Joy-Con camera, that doesn't mean that it has to be the main focus of the game. It doesn't mean that they're not going to be developing other games that don't use these features. It's just something that Mr. Kimishima said. So I'm interested to see I'm interested to find out what it is that they're going to do with the Joy-Con camera, but at the same time, I hope that it's not the goal of the game. Now, what games do I think would probably use that? I think games like Mario Party would be big for that. Maybe you would have a mini game where everybody has to go find an object that is a certain shape in the house and point the Joy-Con camera at it. That sounds kind of cool as a small part of a game. But oh, you know what? It would be kind of cool to have oh gosh, what is the franchise? There's a franchise where you're a little robot and you've got a cord that you could plug into things. Chibi Robo, I think is the name of the game. That would be an interesting thing because there was a Chibi Robo game on the 3DS where you could take pictures of items and then import them into your game. Yes, Kirby Geek is confirming it's Chibi Robo. Thank you, Kirby Geek. I think that would be kind of a cool game because the Switch is a portable console. And so as you go out into the world, you could use it to take pictures. And we don't know. They said it's shape sensing, so I don't think it can actually take a real picture. But if it's shape sensing, then maybe you could find these things to bring into your game that way. Res TV in chat says they could bring back barcode battlers with actual barcode scanning. If you don't remember what that is, there was an add-on, I think it was to the Game Boy, where you could put in this cartridge and then you would collect barcodes and then you would scan them and they would give you like something that you could use in game. I don't remember because I never had one of those, but I think it was almost like a Pokemon style monster thing where it was from your barcode generated this monster that you could have in your game, which is kind of cool. So, those are some cool ideas where, again, it could be very cool as long as it's not the focus of the game. And Doyle's Bane in chat makes a really good point. It could lead to the return of Wii era shovelware. It really depends on how well it's used. There's a lot of times when Nintendo puts out a feature and that feature is other developers start to make games using that feature, but they just do really low effort games. And this is a lot of times when people say, well, Nintendo gamers don't buy third-party software. We only buy first-party software. That's mostly because of shovelware issues. Now, the Switch hasn't been having shovelware issues. Not too bad. There's been some games on the Switch that have been not great. I think there was this one where you flew a broom and you were a witch. That game looked like a disaster. And I guarantee that there's other games after 300 games in the first year. I guarantee some of those games are stinkers. But for the most part, the games on the Switch have been really good. I don't think that we have to worry about the shovelware on the Switch. It seems like developers have the right idea. That being said, in this first year, most of those were developers who were already working on the Switch long before it was announced. And the games that we start to see in 2018 are going to be from developers that they're coming late to the party. And because they're late to the party, they may be in a rush and they may rush their game and do a bad job. And then it'll look like shovelware. Doyle's Bane is correct. It's called Vroom and the Night Sky. That game looked like hot garbage. Anyway, so that's what Kimishima says that we can expect. I don't think that he means that we can expect that kind of stuff exclusively. I think he's just saying, look, we know that you paid to have these cameras in your Joy-Cons and we're not using them. And I think that he's saying, we're sorry about that. We're going to make sure that you use them in the future. File, save. What are you laughing about, Rez? Hang on, I got to shut off a timer. There we go. Oh, hot garbage. Nintendo's spying on us with those cameras. All right. Since the last time that I recorded, I've been playing mostly Xenoblade Chronicles 2. I received that as a Christmas gift. I'm really enjoying that game. You can look forward to my full review. I'll post that on my YouTube channel, and I'll also talk about it on the podcast a little bit. But I've been playing it. I'm not going to talk too much about it right now. I'm just letting you know that that's what I've been playing. I've also been playing a game called Cat Quest. This game is really cool. It's got super bright, colorful graphics, two-dimensional, top-down ARPG featuring a cat. And if you want to get an idea of what the game is like, I have a preview up on my YouTube channel. Just click the link in the show notes or go to youtube.com/runjumpstomp. And you can expect a full review coming as I'm playing through this. I will tell you this. My son is absolutely obsessed with Cat Quest. He started playing it yesterday, and then this morning we had a 2-hour delay because we got buckets of snow dumped on us. And the first thing he asked when I said, "Hey buddy, we got a 2-hour delay," and he jumped up out of bed and he goes, "Can I play Cat Quest?" So he's really enjoying it, and I'm also enjoying it. It's a good game, and look forward to my full review coming soon. Until then, you can just check out the preview again on YouTube. Gameplay. You actually played the broom game there, Rez? How bad was it? We got one story for the lightning round, and that is that Super Mario Odyssey gets 1,000 speedrun submissions in 2 months. This is the fastest that a game has reached 1,000 speedrun submissions, which is really impressive considering the Switch is only in its first year, so there's not that many Switches out there. I think it's somewhere around, you know what, I think it's somewhere around 14 or 13 million or something like that. There's a lot of Switches out there, but to have a game come out in a system's first year and have that game have that many speedrun submissions in that short amount of time, that's really, really impressive. The last lightning round story that I want to mention is that we've got a possible direct coming on January 11th. Now, right now, we don't know what's going on. Back in late 2017, there are a lot of people saying that we would expect to see a Nintendo Direct in January. In December, there was some leaked emails from EA that kind of speculated that we were going to get a Direct in January. On December 31st, Amazon accidentally listed like 18 Nintendo Switch games, not with titles or anything, just said Nintendo Switch placeholder with prices, and they took those back down, so now they're gone. And then finally, John Harker, who is a user on Resetera, which is basically what replaced NeoGAF after that controversy, and Emily Rogers, who is an admin there, they both kind of corroborated that there's supposed to be a Nintendo Direct on January 11th. Nintendo usually announces these things a couple days ahead of time, so we would probably hear something by the 9th if it's going to be on the 11th. What am I hoping to hear? I'm hoping that we hear about Virtual Console. I hope that we hear about the online service. I'm sure that we'll hear about Yoshi and Kirby because we already know that those are games that are coming, but I don't care if I hear about them. They're really not games for me. We'll probably hear some Xenoblade 2 DLC info. Some people are speculating that we're going to see Metroid Prime 4 footage. I really don't think that we're going to see that until E3, if we see it at all this year. And we'll probably have a release date for Project Octopath Traveler. I think that we'll hear something about Fire Emblem because we already know that there's going to be a full Fire Emblem game for the Switch coming in this year. Nintendo has already announced that, but we haven't seen anything from it. And I expect that we'll probably hear more about Fire Emblem Warriors as well as Fire Emblem Heroes. There's probably going to be a little bit of Fire Emblem peppered in all over the place there. And of course, because of that leaked email from EA, we'll probably hear about their game, which is called Fe. That's Fe. Don't confuse that with Fire Emblem. And that's where you're some kind of weird glow-in-the-dark fox that runs around in the woods singing to other creatures. It looks really cool, without a doubt. It's just, it comes from EA, so I'm a little wary of it. Anyway, if we find out more, then obviously I'll talk about it on the podcast. But right now, it's all speculation. So I don't know, take that information and do with it what you will. Thanks for reminding me, Vaxer. I almost forgot about that. That's like the biggest story. But it's all speculation, so I didn't want to make it the main thing. You heard the developers pronounce it Fia? All right. Well, then spell it Fia. Making up words. Thanks, Doyle's Bane. Okay. Well, everybody, that's all the time that we have for today. If there's a story that I missed or a topic that you want discussed, be sure to let me know at one of the ways that I mentioned at the top of the show. Thanks for hanging out with me on this first episode of 2018. If you're looking for ways to support the show, you can do a whole lot of ways to do that. You can just head on over to runjumpstomp.com/support. Click one of the links there. You'll figure it out. You're smart people there. The best way to support the show is just to share it with a friend. I really appreciate all of you guys that listen and download the show every time I put up one. You're awesome. Thank you to Tom Winter and Noteblock for the use of your music in the show. Make sure that you check out their YouTube channels. They're linked in the show notes. And I will see you guys next time. Thanks so much for listening. Bye-bye.